When I first moved to the United States, I was shocked at some of the things that you guys pay for that should otherwise be completely free. Well, nearly 30 House Republicans have called on President-elect Trump to halt the IRS free tax filing service, Direct File, as one of his first acts in office. Led by Representative Adrian Smith and Chuck Edwards, the group sent a letter urging Trump to dismantle the program, arguing that it poses a threat to taxpayer independence and constitutes government overreach. Direct File, an online IRS tool launched as a pilot program earlier in 2024, allows taxpayers to file federal tax returns for free directly with the agency. After receiving positive feedback from over 140,000 users, the IRS announced in May that it would make the service permanent, with plans to expand its availability to taxpayers in 24 states for the upcoming filing season, which typically begins in January. Direct File is an online tool that you can take your time filling out. There's live chat, specialist support before you finally press submit in April. House Republicans have previously attempted to defund the program and block its implementation through legislative measures. Meanwhile, reports suggest that billionaire Elon Musk and former presidential candidate Vivek Ramaswamy are advising Trump on the potential creation of a private tax filing app, although details remain unclear. Trump has also signaled plans to replace the current IRS Commissioner Danny Werfel with the former Republican Representative Billy Long before Werfel's term expires in 2027. The Republican lawmakers argue that Direct File represents a conflict of interest, claiming the IRS has little incentive to ensure taxpayers do not overpay. Their letter to Trump described the service as a consolidation of the IRS's roles as tax assessor, collector, preparer, and enforcer, calling for its termination via executive action. Critics, however, contend that the IRS is not acting as a tax preparer with Direct File. The tool simply guides taxpayers through the process based on the tax code, leaving the responsibility for preparing the return with the taxpayer. For free. The creation of Direct File marks a significant departure from the IRS's long-standing reliance on the Free File program, a public-private partnership established in the early 2000s. This initiative allowed commercial tax preparation companies to offer free filing options, contingent on the IRS refraining from creating its own tool. That restriction was removed in 2019. However, Free File has seen limited uptake, with only 3% of eligible taxpayers using the service, and major players like Intuit and H&R Block have since exited the program. In contrast, Direct File aligns the US with other countries that provide free government-run tax filing options. Advocates argue that it could save taxpayers significant time and money, addressing disparities in tax filing costs and ensuring low-income families can still access credits like the Earned Income Tax Credit. Still, critics, including some state attorneys general, have questioned the program's legality and efficiency, suggesting the IRS should instead focus on promoting Free File. Future funding for Direct File is also uncertain, with Republicans aiming to cut IRS funding allocated under the Inflation Reduction Act. Despite this, IRS Commissioner Werfel has defended the agency's authority to offer taxpayers diverse filing options, emphasizing that Direct File is intended to coexist and not replace Free File. As Trump prepares to take office, the future of Direct File hangs in the balance. However, the private sector tax prep industry spent more than $93 million on federal lobbying since the 2003 launch of the Free File program. California-based Intuit, which owns TurboTax, accounted for over $47.2 million of that federal lobbying spending since 2003, which included spending on the Free File program and a wide variety of other issues. The TurboTax parent company set a new company record for federal lobbying last year, spending nearly $3.8 million, more than it spent in any year prior. In the last 3 months alone, the tax prep company spent almost $1 million on federal lobbying. As it poured record sums into lobbying, Intuit's annual revenue topped $14.3 billion for its 2023 fiscal year, which ended in July, a 13% increase from the year before. And while Intuit spent more on lobbying than any other commercial tax prep company, others in the industry have also hired lobbyists to influence federal policy. As early as 2019, ProPublica found that tax prep companies in the IRS Free File Alliance, including Intuit, had quietly steered tax filers away from free file options by writing code to shadow ban the free file option from Google search engine results, and instead direct customers to their paid services, including services marketed as free that allegedly tricked clients into paying, even when they could, at no cost. By 2020, the Federal Trade Commission had also launched an investigation into whether Intuit tricked customers into paying for tax filing services. The FTC decision upheld a judge's order in September which found that Intuit engaged in deceptive marketing that violated federal law prohibiting unfair business practices. Intuit, the global financial technology platform that makes Intuit TurboTax, Credit Karma, QuickBooks, and MailChimp, announced financial results for the first quarter of this year, which ended on October 31st. Their revenue grew to $3.8 billion. That's growth of approximately 13 to 14% on the year before. If tax planning and filing software is this profitable, is it any wonder the parent companies pay lobbyists to prevent working Americans from filing their taxes for free like every other civilized country does? Only in America can middlemen make billions on products that should be free to the public at large. The incoming Trump administration is likely to side with the lobbyists who claim that direct file is unconstitutional and an example of government overreach. It's this kind of corporate greed that is the reason total household debt rose to an average of $17.8 trillion in the second quarter of this year, with credit card balances alone reaching a high of $1.14 trillion. Overall, the national average credit card debt among cardholders with unpaid balances in the third quarter of this year was over $7,000 per person. The Biden administration could have done more to shout about assistance programs like direct pay. Come January, it won't take long for voters to miss these initiatives and entitlements that are likely to be abolished under the Trump regime. I'm Anthony Davis. You can find me on the 5 Minute News YouTube channel and podcast, on Wednesdays co-hosting Uncovered, and on Sunday on The Weekend Show with MeidasTouch.
Love this video? Make sure you stay up to date on the latest breaking news and all things Meidas by signing up to the MeidasTouch newsletter at MeidasTouch.com/newsletter.